Hi, Team We Run, Coach Alexa here, coach for Reading, South Oxfordshire and the internet. The days are starting to get a little bit longer now, aren't they? But I thought I'd cover a little bit of interesting research I've come across around conspicuity. I haven't even said that right. It's basically a form of how conspicuous are you for other people to see you when you're out and about. We often talk in videos about high-vis clothing, particularly when you're out running at darker times of day or where things aren't particularly well lit. And that's one aspect of it, but there's been some interesting research that I've been digging out, and this is applicable to, people who are walking, running, cycling, even on motorbikes. People that just don't get spotted quite as easily by car drivers, for example. And it's down to the fact that you can be looked at without being seen. So our brains are not taking in the majority of cases, are not taking in all of the detail about all of our surroundings all of the time, because that would be quite a lot of hard work. So our brains are programmed to just making a lot of assumptions and trying to make decisions about what is useful, required information that we need to do something about and what isn't. And, we're only human. Our brains are not making perfect decisions about all of that stuff all of the time. So you might notice that as a runner, you probably notice other runners when you're out and about in your car or out cycling, for example. But people who aren't runners are less likely to spot runners. So it's an interesting sort of, psychology going along here. So yes, things like high visibility clothing work, the reflective strips on clothing, particularly out at night, that catch the headlights when you're moving. So things that are on your arms or on your feet, that people can kind of not identify you not just as a thing, but a moving thing that is likely to be human, are really, really useful. But now we're starting to come towards the spring, and hopefully not far around the corner, some really bright green colours start coming out on the trees. That kind of classic high-vis yellow doesn't become quite as useful, because it's not too different from the really kind of bright yellowish green we get on a lot of the plants and trees at this time of year. So there are other ways to think about kind of standing out. So picking different colours, contrasting colours that make you stand out from your surroundings will vary depending on whether you're in a rural or urban area, the sorts of situations where you're running. But also think a little bit about the way you move. So if you're running down a road and there's a side junction and you maybe don't think that a car's seen you, research has shown if you're running or cycling or walking straight towards something, it's more difficult to identify you as a person. However, if you're kind of just weaving slightly from side to side or making some movements, with your arms perhaps, that kind of picks out as that person's brain that it's something different, that you're worth a second look, you're worth actually sort of consciously checking out. So even if somebody's looking at you, doesn't necessarily mean that they've seen that you as a person are there. So that sort of side-to-side movement, different shapes, different movement patterns to get people to actually spot you is a fantastic idea. It's really interesting, the sort of research around, dark nights, going out in dark clothes where you really, really do blend in with the background and are almost impossible to see, obviously a little bit more on the dangerous side. But picking what is high-vis very much depends on your environment, the colours, the amount of daylight, etc. On a very bright, sunny, green sort of springtime day, as I say, that high-vis yellow won't be quite as effective. Anyway, I just thought I'd share because I thought it was quite interesting research as to why people sometimes don't see us when we're out and about on the roads and something that isn't a car. Happy running!